You have a trendy topic, Steve?
Do I have a trendy topic? I thought I did like yesterday, but in my way, I have subsequently forgotten all about it. I have no idea. Must not have been that trendy, huh?
Our friend Double D, I noticed he cut his hair.
He did.
Oh my gosh.
He did. He has a significant life event for someone else coming up that he's attending and participating in, and I believe he did it upon request.
Got it.
He looks probably more stylish now than I've ever known him to look.
Really?
Like he's got short hair again, but he's kind of like, I think he went into the stylist and said, "Hey, whatever you think looks cool," and they were like, "All right, we're doing this." He looks good. Yeah, I think he was rather sad to lose his mane, which he had for like 2.5 years or something.
The pandemic.
So yeah.
Well, he started growing it out 5 years ago or so. I mean, it was pretty short when we first started working with him. And he started growing it out there. I think he cut it once while he's out there too.
Then I think he let it grow out because he was going to reunite with his old college band and they were going to play a gig. So he wanted to have the rocker hair.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, that's one topic that I wanted to talk about. I saw a picture today and I'm like, oh my God. He got his hair. What else?
Your swans, swan deployment went good, Steve?
Swans successfully deployed. Interestingly enough, they had to patch up one of the swans because I guess last year some real swans got into the pond and real geese were there. And there was a battle royale and the fake swans got in the middle of it all. And one of them must have taken a beak to the plastic shell and punched a hole through it.
Oh my goodness.
So there was a patch job that was done over the winter, which I didn't have to deal with. I just had to get my kayak out and load up the swans and drop them in and make sure they look good from shore.
Nice.
And then I was given the thumbs up and that was that. As there were geese on the shore watching me like, oh, those are fake. But classic.
But they won't go out just on the off chance that they're real.
Yeah, exactly. They'll forget. Who knows? I have no idea. But yeah, so that's, and then I'll have to go back in like, I don't know, September, October and pull them out again. So.
As you do, yeah.
Did I tell the great story last week did I? Okay. So we don't need to cover that one. Where the guy tried to pull him out. Yeah. There was so the story is that my folks lived there and in the association by this pond, they had geese everywhere and they were leaving goose poop everywhere. And so the residents were like, what can we do to try to cut back on the geese? The idea was floated, pun intended, to get these fake swans. So my dad spearheaded it and got these styrofoam swans and had somebody paint them to look realistic. And he deployed them, and then a couple nights later he decided to go out there and check on them, and it's dark out, and he goes out there, and here some other neighbor that wasn't as keen on keeping the geese away was out there wading out there and removing the swans. And my dad caught him in the middle of the act, and the guy tripped and fell and like smashed one of the swans, and it was awesome. It was awesome. But they worked around that and still managed to get the swans out there, which they've been going out there now for like 20 years. So the swans have been deployed.
Wow.
And I've only been having to deal with them in my kayak for a couple years now. So there you go. There's the swan goose kerfuffle.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, having our gathering tonight on a different night than normal is going to mess up my entire week with the conference yesterday. And then tonight, what day is it? I have no clue to what day it is because I am totally off.
I don't know. It feels like we're right on schedule because there was that one week there where you thought it was the normal day, but you were anxious. You were so excited to have the podcast that we dropped everything for you.
Totally did. And I still didn't realize that it was the wrong night until you're like on the podcast. That was awesome. So thank you for that. And thank you for dropping everything tonight as well.
It's a lot. I mean, Steve, I've heard when you get old, you're very busy. So
my busy pandemic calendar. Oh man, I got plans. Let's see, 2 weeks from tomorrow, and otherwise I'm free until August. No.
Yeah, I have my friends, like all their wives and with multiple children, their calendars are booked every single weekend already. And I have nothing. I have one weekend that I'm out of town, but I have no plans all summer. And I just don't get it.
Well, we've got one graduating this year, so that we're super busy for the next few weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of that. So yeah, it's that time of year.
I have nothing. I'm trying to get my house cleaner to not have plans. I am open every other week except for every other Friday. I decided that my house cleaner only comes on weekends that I don't have the girls, because I have a clean house for 5 days versus a clean house for 5 hours. And it's not worth the money if I'm only going to have a clean house for 5 hours. What's the point?
Yep.
So I will do it only if I have her come on days or weekends that I don't have the girls. They mess everything up every time. They walk into the house and instant dirt. They're like that kid. What's that kid who has dirt everywhere?
Pigpen from Charlie Brown.
Yes, Pigpen from Charlie Brown. That's my girls. And they're really not that bad. I mean, compared to other kids. Like, I've seen other kids' houses or other families' houses. My girls are just fine, but I just like clean.
You're a little anal retentive. Didn't pick up on that at all.
Never would have thought.
Have you two been participating in Mow May?
What's that?
That's where you do not mow your lawn for the entire month of May.
Oh, without knowing.
Well, you have to meet.
Doing a good job.
There's no benefit if you don't have weeds in your yard. So if you treat your yard for weeds, or you've cut them and they're not growing, there's no benefit to not mowing, because the whole point is to have the weeds bloom so that the pollinators can go around and get the pollen, the early pollen from those flowers. So we have weeds. We waited until we mowed this weekend, I think was the first time. So we made it almost till the end, and then we've still got a couple areas that we get with a weed eater that I'll probably just let go that still have flowers in them. And they're weeds. They'll grow. They'll be back by the end of this week anyway. So like new dandelions are already sprouting. Like they're about ready to open up. It's been like 3 days. So I mean, especially when we get rain like we had today, and then like they grow. so fast. There's not a lot you can do. So
I made it to yesterday, and I looked at the weather report and said it's going to rain. If I don't mow, I'm going to have a forest.
Yep.
So I quickly mowed the yard last night.
Yeah.
So I figure I made it through 3/4 of the month. That's close enough.
It's a good idea, but like some cities have ordinances against that, and so like if you can, it's great. I know there are some cities that also passed ordinances or passed stuff prohibiting people from mowing their lawn for the month of May as well. So ours was, we never got anybody called on us or anything. We do have the weed police in our city, like, and they're, you know, they're pretty anal about it. So it was mostly just like the different neighbors, right? It was really funny because it's like we're all doing really good, and since we're in the Midwest, we have that Midwest mentality. Who's gonna kick off the mowing? Because one neighbor does it and then everybody does it, and you're complaining the whole time, like, why do I have to go frickin' mow? Like, you're not the first one, right? So we had a couple that did it, and then there were some holdouts, like we were all holding out kind of together, it seemed like.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. The psychology of lawn mowing. It's awesome. Yes. Oh, speaking of like, you know, you mentioned lawn police, neighbor, and there's, you know, you have like associations and things you can and can't do. I'm not in an association. I'm in an older neighborhood, and you can do whatever the hell you want. And apparently that's very true, because a house in my neighborhood, within the last week, they just painted their house, and it is the color of blue masking tape.
No, the whole house. Not like just the
whole house.
Oh my god.
Oh well, white trim, white trim. But
Okay.
but if you can imagine blue masking tape, that is this house.
Should have been the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. White with blue trim.
And I'm thinking, like, you know, you could paint it anything. Is a person colorblind maybe, and they think it's a different shade than what it really is? I have no idea.
Is it a darker blue, or is it like the bright blue?
It's the color of blue masking tape.
Well,
whatever that color is.
The color I'm envisioning is like, it's not like a fluorescent blue, but it's a pretty bright blue.
It's bright.
Yeah, okay. We had my house growing up was pea green, and then we added on to it and we changed it to like a dark blue with a red front door. Pretty sure it was a red front door, but
it's the color of your chair, man.
Yeah, no, this is darker.
That's
than
it.
That. Yeah, that's a bright blue. I would definitely not paint a house that color.
I wonder if like they picked the color thinking it was lighter, but then when they put it on, it was darker. I don't know.
And they were like, "Well, we're committed."
Yeah, we're committed to doing it.
I bought 50 gallons of this. Paint it. Ship it.
Wasn't that I like, at what point are you like, no, this is a bad idea?
I have no idea.
You know what's a really good idea? To stick Reese's dead fish down the toilet. Do you hear her in the background?
Yes.
My fish died. I'm like, yes, let's do it. I'm so excited. This fish has been around for 2.5 years. Yeah. It's a 2.5-year-old fish that she hasn't fed in like 2 months.
What kind of fish was it?
3 months. What kind of fish was it, Reese? A betta fish.
Yeah, that's about how long they live, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. His name was Spike. Yes. Now we get to flush it. Don't flush it without me.
Oh, I was just about to.
Don't flush it without me.
Are you gonna come up with new lyrics to like Under the Sea as you are about to flush?
No, I want to have like a ceremony. Like I want to say something nice about him. Yeah.
Okay, so that made me think of, so I was at a place one time. Jess, you have been at that place. And we were doing a refactor they had this e-commerce system, and it was all spaghetti code. So all of the code was jumbled together within this e-commerce platform that they were using. And so we showed up and we were going to separate it out. We were going to decouple the e-commerce platform from the front end and the back end so that they could use any e-commerce platform. So once we completed that task, this dude, oh my gosh, these people that were around printed out the old code. It was like this tall of paper, and they had to wheel, like they had to get a cart to wheel it down, and they went out to the promenade where the girls are, you know what I'm talking about. And they set it on fire.
Oh my gosh.
they were like, this is a great idea. We're gonna have some kind of Viking send off for this code. I'm like, you guys are ridiculous, and not in a good way.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
So when you just visually indicated how tall the paper was, are you recording this on video or is it audio?
It's always video.
Okay.
The last two, and the one that'll go out tomorrow, is a video.
Is this like your new jam? Like we're doing video? Or
Yeah,
or is it just special? Like,
no, I wanted to experiment with it and see
Okay.
what the video is like. Especially because I wanted to upload it to YouTube as well, so it doesn't make sense to not have video for YouTube. And Spotify supports video as well, which is, I use something else that puts it out to everywhere. So I should check those other ones and see if they have video as well. But and like with Spotify, you can just turn the video off and listen to just the audio. So it's actually pretty sweet because you import the file and it processes the audio portion, and then when you want it to go live, then it processes the video portion and releases. It's pretty slick. So it was an experiment to see how easy it was, and the first iteration was I did the normal audio editing, which is a separate application, and then I moved that into the video editing and had to marry the audio and the video up. The problem that I have found is that the software that I use for audio recording, for some reason, would add like a couple milliseconds to the beginning, so I found myself having to do like a lot more. I do all the editing, put all my cool like music in and stuff, and then because I would clean up our sound, like our individual sounds. That's why we use this application, is it records three individual audio files, and then I could manipulate each person's audio file or voice as I wanted to, and then I could put it together and then ship it off. So the first couple, I'm like, I'll do both, see how that goes. But there's some issues with it doesn't line up exactly. It's pretty close, but then it's like this weird thing where I have to trim the audio and then play both the original audio and the one that I edited and make sure that it sounds like exactly the same or has like a 10 millisecond delay so it still sounds identical, and listen to it. And weird things happen where like one person's voice would like fall out of sync a little bit more but then go back into sync. It's just the most bizarre thing. So the next iteration is to do the editing, do all of it just in the video editor, and I think I should be able to get the music in there the way that I want to. It might be a little bit easier, so we'll see.
my only concern at this point, well, two concerns. That I'm concerned, but I'm not worried that you'll ever assign those tasks to me. But my other concern is for anyone who was not watching video. They're just, they're what many of our subscribers only hear the audio. Like, I know this. I know our demographic listens to us in the car. Will not know the size of the printout of the code.
Everybody knows what this big is.
This big. Well,
It's about 18 inches, I would say.
Okay.
Like
All
in
right.
paper. It was insane.
That's awesome.
I was just absolutely floored that number one, they wanted to burn something, and number two, they spent the time to print it out.
Sure.
It's the
And did it actually burn? And where did they burn it?
There's like this common area in between buildings, and they went outside, which is not a good place because it's notoriously windy just because of how the structure was set up, right? So it kind of funnels the air into a point, so it becomes very windy in that area. But yeah, it was where the grills are, so you could go outside and grill. You know, for any Gen Zers that have never worked in an office before, that was a thing.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's like there's people graduated during the pandemic and like couldn't go, so I don't know.
The new thing, instead of the walking to school uphill both ways, I used to drive to and from an office when I went to work. You won't believe it. You won't believe what I had to do when I was your age. That'll be it.
Yep. 45 minutes in the car, and in the winter, an hour and a half each way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I started to like get tired of that. This was at that same place, and it was about a 40-minute drive. And I remember one day we had a winter storm coming in, and I'm like, I'm gonna bounce, guys. Like, I left probably like 2 hours before everybody else. I'm like, this is, and it was not great when I went home, but I had friends that lived near me that worked there as well, and they said it was so atrocious on the way home. Cars spinning out all over the place in front of them. Like, it was so terrible. One time I was at a place that was so far away from where I was, from where I lived. It was like an hour. And so the first 30 minutes was just getting to the main highway to get to my house. And it was like 45 minutes from that main highway, then back to my house. And I didn't really realize how far away it was until one day a winter storm rolled in to where the office was located. And I'm like, it's very close to when I would leave. I'm gonna head out. I'll finish up like online, no big deal. So I leave, and the snow starts coming down quite a bit. And right when I get to like the main highway, completely gone, clear the rest of the way home, dry as a bone. And so then the next day, I think I went to the office the next day, and they had gotten like 6 or 8 inches of snow down there. It was like April.
That's happened to me once. Yeah,
it was probably the same year. It was,
yeah, that totally happened to me.
2016, 2017. I think it was 2016.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Okay, that might have been the same day.
Yeah. Yeah, so not a fan. I've always, like, summertime commuting, not really a problem for me, but like wintertime all the time. And then the house that we live in now, our driveway, the road is above our house, so our driveway has a really steep incline, and so, you know, it takes me an hour to clear the driveway so that I can get up it and so that everybody else can get up it. So it's like, after clearing the driveway, like, I'm not interested in I'm just gonna like flip up the laptop and log in. Like, I'm tired.
I love it when I don't have kids and I don't need to leave, and I don't even do the driveway at all. I'm like, I just hope it melts or someone else does it for me. I don't want to talk about snow anymore. I think it's weird that it's almost June. Can you, like, has this half of the year gone super duper fast for you guys? Or is it me?
Yes and no. I would say January, February, March were slow. April and May, like,
Where did
it went by in like 2 weeks. It feels like so.
It feels like we're still in January to me. Like, that's how, I don't know, like, I'm so happy with this new role that I'm in that I don't have goals anymore. I mean, I do, but like, I don't have hard, dead, like, quarterly goals. And I can't do them. I every time I think I'm gonna get something done, I get derailed and sidetracked, and I can't do anything. It's the weirdest thing. But yet, it goes by so fast. I'm doing so much, but I'm doing nothing at the same time. Is that weird?
A
Nope.
little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
I don't think so.
Yup.
No, I don't think so at all.
Yeah, you're doing so much, but yet you're doing nothing at all.
Yep.
Okay, so that's normal.
I don't know. It's all perspective, I think. Like, you know, because I think what you're referencing is like work takes up a big chunk, right? It takes up a third of your day.
Yeah.
Sleeping takes up another third of your day. So then you have a third kind of to yourself. Until that 1/3 at work is very busy and it makes time go by very quickly. But I mean, even if we weren't at a point in time where because we use money to survive, like we're fortunate that we work in cushy places and we get paid and we can use that money to survive and get everything that we need. But if we didn't live like this, or we chose to live a different way now, you would still be doing work for a good chunk, if not more. It would just probably be more physical work, and maybe long periods of time traveling to and from places and not even being productive per se, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, yeah, I saw an article about a group of people that went and lived in a cave for like 60 days. And one of the things that they said when they came out is that their concept of time had completely changed while they were there, like while they were in this cave. And they were saying that it was better.
I'm sure. I believe that.
It was much more enjoyable. Yeah. I've wondered that the nature of the work that we do, like the three of us do, especially, like Steve, you deal with deadlines, maybe not as much as like myself and Jess, but that makes things go by fast. Our perspective is very different, right? Let's talk about quarters, right? So we're entering the end of Q2, coming up on Q3. Mm-hmm. And if we have something that's due in Q4, that's right now, right? Like everyone's like, oh, I got 3 months. That's future my problem. That's right now. Like you guys don't understand how little time that actually is.
The fact that you bring that up, I think that's exactly why my perspective has changed this year. I haven't had to worry about timelines and schedules for 4 years in my old role. Like I never had to worry about timelines and schedules and milestones and deliverables and roadmaps and risks and issues. Like I didn't have to worry about that. And now that's all I think about. That's all I talk about is roadmaps and timelines and deliverables and schedules and what did we sign up for and what are we trying to do and who's doing what and making sure we're doing this. And like all I'm thinking about is in days. And that's probably why it's going by so fast.
Yeah, because you're not living here. You're living 3 or 4 months from now. That's where that's where you have to be in our role in order to be successful. Is you have to live in the future.
Interesting. And like even with like working with consultants now, I'm living in the future with consultants. Like so-and-so is going to be off of their contract in 3 months. Great, because this project is going to start ramping up in 3 months. And so now we need to put this on their name 3 months from now. Like I'm constantly looking at schedules.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that.
I think it takes a toll and it gets old.
Huh.
For sure.
I wonder how I can change that.
Yeah, I have some theories.
Stop doing what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, that's your thing, right? Like, that's what you went to school for. That's what, like, all your training's in. That's what a lot of your experience is in. Like, I think it's very clearly what you love to do.
I have a passion for it, unfortunately. But I can't live in the here and now though. Time goes by too fast now.
Yep.
Did the people in the I keep coming back to the people that lived in the cave. Did the people in the cave, I'm guessing they didn't live in the future. They lived in the present.
Yep. That's kind of what they were alluding to.
Exactly.
In a way, what you're saying this was the modern day allegory of the cave.
Why you gotta say weird words? Come on, there's no Gen Zer. There's no Gen Zer out there that's gonna understand this.
You're unflappable about this. Come on.
No, but you're right.
People know about the allegory of the cave, don't they?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Well, you know what? They can Google it.
Yeah.
Google it right now.
Yep. Expand their minds. So that's interesting though, living in the future. I hadn't thought about it that way.
All right.
I think in my current role I do less of that. Like I'm all about like what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And because I'm put in this like little box, like this is where you operate, and I don't have to think about the future. That's fine.
Yeah. So here's a future thinking thing for you, Steve.
Hey, Eckhart, think about the future. You know what that's from?
No.
Yeah, that's the original Batman movie with Jack Nicholson. Sorry, go ahead.
I'd never seen that.
What?
Michael Keaton was the first Batman for me.
Yeah, he was Michael Keaton. That was it. It was Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
Jack Nicholson was the Joker.
Yeah.
That was the movie.
Why? That's an obscure quote.
Hey, I'm all about obscure pop culture references. Just ask the people I work with.
Google this one now, I suppose.
Anyway, I interrupted you. The future.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the future.
Yeah.
I got that one.
So I was very disappointed. This was along the lines of around the time when, was it NASA or some scientists had created microscopic warp bubbles in space. And it was at that point I realized that I will not see Star Trek in my lifetime. And I was thoroughly disappointed in that.
Really? Because I've seen Star Trek like hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah, I doubt that. It's probably like 5.
You're talking about seeing like the Star Trek warp speed.
The technology.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could see the tricorder. I could see that coming along.
Well, I mean, the MRI came along, cell phones. There's a lot of stuff that was an idea in Star Trek that we've made into reality. But
the phaser, you could see that someday.
I don't know. The military dumped their railgun, so maybe not. But they require a ton of energy, at least with our current technology, right? So that's the thing about the phaser. Did you see the one TNG episode where there's that one phaser weapon that was created that's like the most painful way to kill people, so it was completely outlawed?
The Varon T disruptor?
Yes.
Guilty, I know that one. That's where Data got captured by that guy.
Yep.
That actually, what's interesting about that episode is I believe, because I was late, I was not on the early power curve of TNG. That might have been an episode where that might have been the first episode I ever saw. Or it was very early on, because that was when I started to understand who Data was. Because right at the end, when the guy's captive and he's like, I bet you're just, you're you're feeling all smug about this now, seeing me behind bars, and Data's like, no, I feel nothing. It was great. Anyway, we do not need to go down this rabbit hole again.
If you guys keep on talking about this, I'm gonna dip.
I was going to say, for Jess's sake, we cannot. Let's move on. So technology, living in the future. I want to get back to this. It's a fascinating concept.
It is. I've been thinking about it a lot now.
We're always living in the future, right? So it's like every day we're doing things that other people 100 years ago didn't think was even fathomable. Like it wasn't even a thing. I mean, electricity has really only been around for just over 100 years. That's not a long time.
No, you're right. And what's interesting about the concept of time and living in the future, and maybe I've talked about this in the past. See what I did there? Okay. When I was little, so this would have been in the 70s, when topics would come up about history, like let's say World War II, I'll use as an example. To me in the 70s, it was like, man, that is like ancient history as a kid. World War II, that was like so long ago. But yet the older I get, the more I realize that wasn't that long ago. So I'm getting further away from the event and realizing it was not as long ago as I thought.
Oh, that's funny.
Did you know that Cleopatra, I believe it's Cleopatra, is closer in time to the creation of the iPhone than the building of the pyramids?
Whoa.
You're just lose his mind.
Right?
That's what my
Right? Yeah.
Processing. Huh.
A few moments later.
Well, guys, it is time. I need to get the girls to bed, and I am fading fast.
We hit the TNG button, and she was like,
She
boom,
pretty much
I'm out.
tried to bring it back with history, but
No,
Yep.
worse.
Now we know. Now we know if we need to, maybe if Jess is ever going on and on some rant and we want to kill it, bring up TNG.
Yes.
We've got it.
I think this
We've
is
got
something
her kryptonite.
Yeah.
Yes.
you can bet that this is going to show up in PowerPoint presentations at work now. There's a precedent that I set with this. I've already done it before with Picard and what's his face at Tanagra.
Darmok and Jalad.
Yeah, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. I did that. Legit did that in a presentation.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, it is my kryptonite. So it makes me sleepy. Any form of politics conversations or history or...
Oh, we hit the trifecta tonight.
Yeah, we did. Totally.
I know.
We hit it all.
Oh, didn't
did
even
it all.
know.
Yeah.
I killed it with the allegory of the cave, then Star Trek, and then George W. Wow.
Started talking about Cleopatra. Okay.
Well,
time for me to go to bed.
Okay,
I'm
you
gonna
can
live it now.
you
and
can
go
drop.
back.
I'll spare you what I'm going to say next till after you drop. Then.
Bye. Have a
See ya.
good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
It won't let me leave. Help. I'm not kidding.
You're stuck.
So when the
It won't let me
Peloponnesian
leave.
War came in, the effects of the markets, and also the Silk Road, the history of that, right, Ethan? So, and the politics involved with the Chinese powers and then the Byzantines.
I think if you could
just
explain Star Wars trade routes with me, that would.
Well, what I want to do is draw parallels between the Star Wars trade routes, especially like the Kessel Run,